Obama was a mulatto. Welcome back to the Generation Varied podcast. My name is Caleb. I'm your main host. This is our Black History Month episode, and I'm super excited to be here with you guys. This is the podcast where we talk about pop culture, geopolitics, tech, what's going on in business and sports, and all of the other topics in between. Super excited to bring you guys this episode today. If you thought to yourself, oh, the Black History Month episode. What a perfect episode to skip. Really? During Black History Month? Okay. Go ahead and skip the episode if you'd like to. But we're going to kick things off with a special segment that I like to call Are You Blacker Than a Sixth Grader? Where we have a real sixth grader go up against our two non-African American co-hosts to find out if they are blacker than him. Now, obviously, the title is very tongue-in-cheek. We know that one's blackness is not affected by the amount of trivia or history that they know, but this podcast is about having a good time, having good conversations, and that sometimes includes uncomfortable conversations, but Black History Month does not always have to be about trauma, so we're just going to keep things pretty light and educational today. So starting off, but before we introduce our first host, who has so graciously agreed to be here with us today, I have a question for my two co-hosts. Jack, Ben, what have you personally done for Black Americans this year?
Ooh, this man came out swinging.
Wow.
Hey, listen, Caleb, that's a tough question. I would say my best way that I can support Black Americans would just be by being engaged with the things that they're doing. So whether that's music, most of the music that I listen to are Black artists. I love to support them through that. I like going to concerts, that kind of thing. So for me, that's going to be a big one. And I'm not just talking about, A-list rappers and that kind of thing, but if you can rap, then I will listen to you. I don't care if it's a big artist or some guy on the corner of the street. So that's the first one that pops into my mind.
Yeah, for me, that's a great question.
Y'all are taking this question so seriously.
It's putting me on edge. I'm like, listen, Caleb, you said we're keeping it light.
Listen, I pulled a Z-Way. Honestly, Z-Way is like Z-Way. If you're listening to this, we want you here as a podcast guest. But what I think the brilliance of Z-Way is that she's so perfectly weaves uncomfortableness into like comedy, and to have these conversations, it just puts people on the spot. It's really funny, but hard to be on the receiving end of. So thankfully, I kicked this episode off. But we have a special guest here that I don't want to keep waiting any longer. A sixth grader from Columbus, Ohio, whose mom is friends with my mom and has graciously agreed to be here. Terry, welcome to the Generation Varied podcast, buddy.
Hey guys, my name's Terry. Played sixth grade. I play basketball. Really big on Fortnite and gaming. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We're excited to have you here, cousin. Now, tell the listeners and viewers here, how well do you play Fortnite? Because when people say that they play Fortnite, like, let's just establish a couple of things. I play Fortnite. I started about a month ago, and I think my highest ranking that I've hit is like maybe a 96 or something like that. So I'm not very good at it, but tell the listeners what's your skill level here?
I play Fortnite a lot. I've started playing it since season 4, which I think was in 2018.
Wow.
And
I play zero build or build.
I play build mode, but in ranked. And I made it all the way to elite rank this season, and I play with my friends most of the time. Sometimes we play tournaments. But we never win any because we're not like professionals or anything, but we are pretty good at the game.
Listen, if you keep going, you about to outlive all the professionals, cousin. So keep going, man. Jack, you play Fortnite, don't you?
Yeah, I was gonna say, Terry, you will definitely outplay amongst all of my friends. I have like a group chat with buddies that play Fortnite, and every night we'll send like a Batman signal, essentially, like who's going to lobby, and we'll just play with whoever. And I mostly play on zero build, and recently got my wife into it as well. So, but nowhere close to where you are at, Terry. I believe I'm only in gold, mostly just because I don't play ranked. I just play just to like collect those medallions for season 5 right now, and yeah, it's just a fun way to escape. But nothing like you. It sounds like you guys are. I mean, you play Bill, like that's intense for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Terry, well, thanks for being here. We're gonna kick this off with our first trivia question. The category is AAVE, okay? So finish this phrase. First, we're gonna have Jack and Ben share their answer, and then Terry, will have you share your answer afterwards here. So first question.
Wait, hold up, Caleb. Let me interrupt you. As a quick caveat, I can speak for myself and for Jack when I say, listeners, do not be disappointed in our lack of Black history knowledge. You know, I did not grow up in this country. You know,
Man.
neither did Jack for the most
Mhm.
part. So
Yeah,
that's my
hey,
fair
I'm ready
warning
for it. I'm
that
ready.
I think
this
you
might get
guys.
embarrassing.
No, I don't think it will. I think you guys are gonna be fine. I really do. You guys have been
Okay.
friends with me long enough. We've rubbed off on each other. I promise.
I hope so.
Okay. Let me
This is
That's what
see.
I call out,
hopefully
man.
this isn't like my citizenship test right here.
No, absolutely not. No. Okay, so first question. Finish this phrase. Do I look like Boo Boo?
The Fool.
Yeah, I knew that one, honestly. Boo Boo the
Oh
Fool.
yeah, Terry, I got that.
Correct.
I'm just kidding.
Who
I
do
did
I
not
look
know.
like Boo Boo the Fool? Now, question for you guys. Since Terry answered, what does that mean?
That was my follow-up question.
Jack.
I have no idea.
Okay. No, I think basically, I don't know where it comes from. I don't know who Boo Boo the Fool is, but like, I think it's like, do I look like an idiot? Like, are you
Harry.
taking advantage of me? That type of thing.
Terry, how
Basically,
would you
Terry, what do you
describe
think it
that?
means?
Yeah.
It's like sometimes my mom says it if she knows that I'm telling a lie. It's like slang, like something like do I look like I was born yesterday?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
another Black expression too. They would say like, I was born at night, but not last night.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. No, I haven't heard that one in so long. That's an old Black phrase. I was born at night, but not last night. Okay. Second question here. AAVE question. Finish this phrase. I'm not one of your ...
Little friends.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It is I'm not one of your little friends, often used to assert boundaries or express frustration when someone is treating the speaker in a familiar or disrespectful manner. It implies that the speaker does not appreciate being treated as casually or informally as one might treat their peers or acquaintances.
I mean, like, when's the last time you heard it or you used it? You know, like that phrase. I'm not your little friend.
My mom, she recently like just said it because she said I was being like a smart aleck with her one time. Like, so I was playing my game and then my door was shut and I couldn't hear her. And then I like had a tone with her. And she said, "Stop talking to me like that. I'm not one of your little friends."
I love that. I love that. That's so funny. Yeah, no, my mom, I feel like my mom still says that. I think I might say it. I've said it to people at work before, like when people at work have wanted to like, because I try not to drink with coworkers just because in general I just don't think it's a good idea. But so like I think I've said like, oh, I'm not one of your little friends, like with coworkers, you know what I'm saying? So I think I've said it in a work setting before too, but yeah, it's just used to tell somebody that there's a familiarity there that you do not have, and you need to back up. All right. Next question here. Born Dana Owens. She is a multi-talented artist, renowned as a rapper, singer, actress, and producer. Emerging in the late 1980s, she became a pioneer for women in hip hop with hits like Ladies First. Transitioning seamlessly into acting, she starred in numerous films and TV shows like Beauty Shop and Bringing Down the House, earning critical acclaim and awards, including a Golden Globe for her role in Life Support and a Grammy for Best Solo Rap Performance. She furthered her success with a daytime talk show and ventures in producing. With her versatile talents and unwavering influence, she remains an iconic figure in both entertainment and advocacy, inspiring generations with her talent and activism.
Oh, wow. I have no idea. Terry, do you know?
No, I don't know about that one.
I want to, but you know what? The first two people that came to my mind, I know both of them are wrong answers. The more detail that you gave to it, the first one was Little Kim, and then the second one was Missy Elliott.
Think before. Think like the first big, like one of the first big ones. Like she's the first female rapper to win a Grammy. I said Beauty Shop.
Caleb, we are not blacker than a sixth grader.
Mary J. Blige?
No, Mary J. Blige is not. I see where you're getting that, but no, it's not Mary J. Blige. All right, so the answer is Queen Latifah.
Oh my gosh,
that's an obvious one too, man.
Latifah. I know. I told y'all I was trying to lob y'all some soft ones here. Y'all need to look at our education system. Folks don't know Queen Latifah. Lord.
Yeah, they didn't teach me that one.
Not teach y'all here. Okay, let me see here. Which rapper won the Pulitzer Prize for Music in 2018, becoming the first non-classical or jazz artist to receive this prestigious award?
Kendrick Lamar.
It is Kendrick, yes.
Yeah,
it is Kendrick.
All right. Jack, we're on it.
Hold up.
We're going to come back.
Is it Pimp a Butterfly?
To Pimp a Butterfly? That came out in like 2015.
No. It's the other one.
It's like Be Humble, Sit Down, that song?
Yeah.
That album.
I don't remember what that album is called.
I don't know either.
Hey, who are your favorite musicians, favorite artists?
I like Drake, I like SZA, and I like Lil Baby.
Okay.
I have so many thoughts on those choices. Drake's definitely one of my favorites. And SZA is, I mean, absolutely amazing. So yeah, no, good choices here. Good choices. All right, next question, and then we just have two more after this. Let me see here. A trailblazing American politician and educator who made history as the first African-American woman elected to the United States Congress, serving New York's 12th congressional district from 1969 to 1983. She was known for her advocacy of minority and women's rights, as well as her outspokenness on social justice issues. In 1972, she became the first African-American major party candidate for president of the United States and the first woman to run for the Democratic Party's presidential nomination. Her courageous leadership and unwavering commitment to equality have left an indelible mark on American politics and inspired generations of activists. Note to self, tell ChatGPT not to put indelible in any more summaries that I ask it for. Who is it? Name that person.
I don't think I know anyone from like that long ago.
Terry, this is a sixth grade trivia question. We need you to step up here.
Terry, it's okay. Bro, I went through the whole 12-year education, and
Jack, don't make no excuses here.
No,
okay,
I'm owning. I'm like I don't know, and I feel it's crazy.
I feel like the Homer Simpson meme, where he's like fading into the bushes. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Look, go hug a teacher. If this segment taught you anything, go hug a teacher, please. It is Shirley
I'm fading.
Chisholm. Shirley Chisholm was the first African American, a woman elected to the United States Congress. Shout out Shirley Chisholm. We love you. And then let's do last question here. Back to AAVE question. Finish this phrase. A hit dog
is gonna bark.
It's gonna holler. A hit dog will
It's gonna
holler.
howl. Yeah, or something like
Jack
that.
got it. A hit dog will holler. Tell me what that means, Jack.
The analogy comes from like if there's like a group of dogs and you throw a stone at it, it's gonna like holler. So if you throw what I understand is, so let me know if I'm wrong. If you mess with something like someone, it takes them off. They're gonna like refuel themselves. Let them know, let everyone know, hey,
yes,
something
yes.
along the lines. Yeah, break it down.
It is an old African proverb that suggests when somebody reacts strongly or defensively to a criticism, an accusation, or a thought, it may indicate that the criticism hit close to home or is true to them. It implies that people often react defensively when they feel personally attacked or exposed, similar to how a dog might yelp when struck. In essence, it suggests that the intensity of someone's reaction can sometimes reveal the accuracy of relevance of a criticism they're responding to. Terry, what lessons can we learn from that one?
You don't mess with the wrong people because you never know what they're going to do about it.
Yes, absolutely. You're 100% correct. And also, pay attention to folks' reactions to stuff. If you walk into the room and you say, "Who drank my Sprite?" and somebody immediately says, "Oh, well, so and so, they used to." Ooh, why you got something to say? You know what I'm saying? What is the number? This is at the actual final trivia question. What is the number one rule for Black people all across America? It's not that deep.
The number one rule?
Mm-hmm.
Number one rule. What?
Come on, Terry. We need you.
Be safe, I guess.
Terry, let's go.
What is it?
Be safe.
Yes, I'll take be safe. But up under that, I'm going to caveat it and say mind your business.
Yeah.
Stay in your lane. That is Black 101. When people ask, can I embody parts of Black culture? Yes. Start with staying in your lane. You know what I'm saying? Minding your business. Tending to your family. That's just general wisdom for everybody. Terry, we hope that you've had a good time. Did you have a good time, Terry?
Yes, thanks for having me.
We are so thankful that you were here. We are going to send you a $50 e-gift card for participating. Thank you, Terry. Thank you to your parents as well for agreeing to have you on the podcast. Terry, any final thoughts or shout outs? Anybody that you want to send a shout out to?
Just shout out to my mom for giving me the information so I can join this podcast.
Yeah, shout out to Ms. Takara. We are so appreciative of you. Thank you so much. Terry, you're free to drop off, but thanks so much for being here today, bub.
Oh,
thanks, Terry.
No problem.
All right. We'll see you, man.
See you later.
But listeners, I hope you enjoyed that segment. I want to bring your attention to something that is not happening this year or next, but something a little bit further down the road. But I want to bring it to your attention. Is the World Cup 2026. So just a quick overview. I want to assume everyone knows World Cup by now, but if you don't, that's okay. So the FIFA World Cup is the international association football, where it's a competition between the senior men's national team, where they compete every 4 years. This tournament's been dated back to 1930. So it's one of the most well-known, honestly, the biggest event in the world, next to Olympics. Ben, Caleb, what do you know about World Cup 2026?
I know that in the World Cup 2026 that they're going to have stadiums in Canada and America, which I think is kind of new. But that's really the only thing I know.
Just the stadium. Okay.
That's
Caleb?
it.
Listen, I don't know anything. I do know one thing. If it's gonna be hosted here, we better win. Okay.
Ooh,
You don't let folk come into this house and
Caleb,
beat us on the home front. So
you might get disappointed.
I know that the
Caleb?
U.S. men's team has not historically done well in this competition, but I just want to send a message out to every red-blooded American. I don't care what we have to do. We have 2 years to get this together because I'm not going to watch it. I'm not going to watch folk lose. I just won't do it. I'm not going to be a viewer.
Caleb,
That's what I know about the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Y'all get it together by then, or I'm not watching it. Plain and simple.
Listeners, what's so interesting about this 2026 World Cup is it's not only hosted by one nation, which is traditionally how it goes for the last 7 tournaments. So 28 years plus, it's been hosted in one country. The 2026 World Cup will be the first tournament be hosted by not 1, not 2, but 3 countries. Canada, United States, and Mexico are co-hosting the tournament.
Mexico too.
Yeah, and it will be across 16 different cities. The last time it was hosted in North America was 1994. I actually have a poster, the official poster from the tournament behind me there. This will be the second time the United States will host it, the third time for Mexico, and the first time for Canada. So just high overview, the 16 cities that will host in the U.S. will be Atlanta, Boston, Dallas, Houston, Kansas City, Miami, New York, Philadelphia, San Francisco, and Seattle. For Mexico is Guadalajara, Mexico City, and Monterrey. And Canada, Toronto, and Vancouver.
With basically the only 2 cities in Canada.
True. So one more thing I'll add that will be different about this tournament, and then I want to hear both your opinions, is so there will actually be 48 countries competing at this upcoming World Cup, which is more than the last tournaments, which was 32. So the 16 more teams. So that's going to be very interesting. With that said, what is your gut reaction to hearing the World Cup being hosted in 3 different countries across 16 different cities versus, for example, the last World Cup of 2022 hosted in Qatar, which is a small country in the Middle East in like one central place. Yeah, I just kind of want to hear what's your reaction. Are you guys excited? Do you have any questions? Yeah.
So my initial thoughts are, if I'm remembering correctly, I believe that there were a lot of issues with FIFA a couple of years ago with like the ethicalness of like building all of these structures and the workers that goes into it and the waste, and these businesses aren't able to keep up with like no business, and then this huge spike in volume and that kind of stuff. So if I'm a guessing man or a betting man, I would think that they're trying to spread these locations out as to not force one area to feel all of the effects of like the economic impacts of hosting an event like that in one collective area. So that's my thinking as to why they're doing that. I will say it does feel like a slight to us though. Like, why can't we host all of it? Like, we could host all of it here, and like we have the space to obviously.
You gotta be happy with having most of them. Most of them is cool. That's better than nothing.
That's my like Americanness speaking up here right now. Like, what? And is there a reason others are included?
Why aren't we dominating this?
Let me tap into that a little bit, Caleb. What was World Cup like growing up for you? Like, did your family watch it? did you grow up in a space where during the summer, you guys have a watch party? Like, what was World Cup like growing up for you? I'm just curious.
My first memories of the World Cup were I want to say like 2012. And that was the first time that I had ever heard of the World Cup. And I was down in Hattiesburg, Mississippi with some of my cousins, and they were watching it. And I was like, what on earth is this? And they're like, oh, it's like a big international soccer competition. And then I didn't hear about it for like another 6 years until I went to Asbury and had friends that were really into soccer. So I
Okay, wow.
did not have any sort of growing up with it at
That's
all.
crazy.
Yeah.
Ben, what about you?
You
Like,
missed
what's
out.
your reaction to what I just said? And then what also was your experience of watching World Cup growing up?
Yeah, World Cup was a very big deal in my house. All my older siblings were all soccer players, and my dad too, and my dad coached soccer, and then also just like every African family loves the World Cup, you know? Um, basically the way my family rooted for teams in the World Cup is like we root for all the African teams until they get knocked out one by one, and then after that you just pick the team that has the most African players on it. So
Yeah.
probably like France or something. And then you cheer for them. But one really solid memory that I have of the World Cup was when the Netherlands won. I think that was South Africa, right? In 2010. Am I right in that? I'm not sure.
I think
But
I think Spain won against
Spain won that year,
Netherlands.
and then did Netherlands win the one before that or the one after that? Because I know it was like Spain and Netherlands went up against each other in the final twice, I believe.
Okay.
Anyway, but I remember just watching that final match, and then that was really good. There was that header at the very end that was like nicknamed the Flying Dutchman, and that's like classic highlight. But yeah, I think as I look at these cities, the first thing that pops into my head is like, man, these cities are spread out like crazy, and that could make for some wild travel
Yeah.
for some of these athletes. I don't know if I were one of them. Uh, I don't know if I would like
Yeah.
that. Imagine flying from like Mexico City all the way up to like Toronto. That's a mission.
Yeah. No, I'm glad I got to hear both your experiences. Ben, I'm jealous, and because growing up in Taiwan, I never get a cheer for Taiwan because we
Yeah.
are never in it.
I mean,
And
it's not like
in my lifetime, I will probably never see Taiwan in the World Cup. And if they do, it will be the greatest year of my life. But with that being said, listeners, with the World Cup coming to North America, U.S., Canada, and Mexico, there's a few things I'm really just looking out for. And one of them is, how is our generation going to react to the soccer landscape? What I mean by that is, think about it. Copa America, which is a soccer tournament hosted in North America, in Central America. It'll be a tournament for the national teams. It'll be hosted in 2024, and then 2026 we got a World Cup, and then 2027 the United States might be hosting the Women's World Cup with Mexico. So our generation, Ben and Caleb, we have not experienced a global event in the same while in the US. The last time a huge event like this was back in 1996 for the Olympic Games at Atlanta. And before that was the World Cup in 1994. Our generation has not seen a global event. So I'm really curious how this is going to shake up the American culture, the sports world, and especially just the kids who are watching it. What does this mean? And that brings me to my next point. What I'm going to be looking out for is what would this mean for football? And one of my favorite lines from Eminem's song, "The Real Slim Shady," with the real Slim Shady, please stand up. And when I was thinking about this topic, I was just
Wait
thinking
a
about.
second, Jack. Are you quoting Eminem during Black History Month?
Oh no.
Oh, look where I'm going with this. I'm sorry.
There are. I mean, what is? No, I'm teasing. I'm teasing. Keep going. Keep going.
Oh, Kayla, I'm so bad. So with, I mean, NFL and American football is king in the United States. We know this. We know this from the last couple of weeks. Listeners, we talk about the viewership and the impact of football in America. But with all of this tournament coming to US now, and soccer being a global, already like the most popular sports in the world, what would this mean for football? So, which is why I want to say, like, will the real football please stand up? Like, that's what the world is going to be asking after these, especially the 2026 World Cup. You know, who the world and US is going to ask, this question, and I'm really excited to see how the soccer culture shifts in US, because Caleb, I really hope US will have the chance to win the World Cup at some point. And before we shift to the next topic, I want to highlight two things that stood out to me this month from the FIFA press. So, listeners, FIFA released a schedule for the matches for the 2026, and there's two things that stood out to me. I'm going to leave you with this. First of all, the final is going to be hosted in New York MetLife. And if you're from the US, where is MetLife really at? It's in New Jersey. The World Cup final is going to be in the middle of nowhere. And people from everywhere are going to travel to this location, just think about, what is this? It's hilarious. So
Listen,
the reason I think is that
all participants get a pack of menthols, a can of hairspray, some tanning lotions. These are the Jersey Shore artifacts that all participating ticket holders can take advantage of in New Jersey.
You get a picture with Snooki and DJ
So-
Pauly D and all of them.
what is the New Jersey? Think about it. If you're not from the US, the two things you know is New York and LA, and whatever's in between, they don't know. And New Jersey,
You know what's
for
crazy?
final-
People who are from New Jersey a lot of times don't even say they're from New Jersey. I know like 3 people who are from New Jersey who, if you ask them where they're from, they'll tell you New York. And I'm like, I'll look at them. I'm like, I know you are not from there. I know you well enough.
Not too much on Jersey now. I've got some friends in Jersey, all right? And I'm not trying to, I live too close. I'm not trying to get pulled up on in Bushwick.
So, when they were making the decision, there's so many things, conversation. I would love to break it down, but I won't do that today. But the competing locations for the final was LA, Dallas, and Las Vegas, which all have new stadiums in the last like 3 years, which is, well, not newer stadiums compared to New Jersey's at least. Anyways, one thing I want to call out, which is in round 16, this is what I'm going to look forward to the most. Not the final, but in round 16, there will be a game hosted in Philadelphia, and the date will be 4th of July. It will be America's 250th birthday. The match will be played in Philly, the birthplace of America. Imagine if the United States were to face England at Philly. I think that's gonna be the greatest sports event in the United States. Everyone's got tattoo eagles on their arm, whatnot. So I'm excited.
1776 all over again.
I speak English and AAVE There's a third language that I speak fluently to all of our British listeners, and that is good old fashioned American Eagle. All right. Squaw! I wish the British would show up in Philadelphia for the World Cup. I will ride there on horseback from Brooklyn, New York, just to be patriotic. And am I ever patriotic in any other scenario outside of like a sports scenario? No. But for the good old US of A, if that showdown happens, I'm there on horseback. Okay.
I love
Amazing.
that. I would love to see. I hope that happens more just to hear you actually have to live up to that than watch the match.
Oh my gosh.
Amazing. Same, Ben. Same.
Guys, as we talk about some of the things that are going on in America in the future, it makes me think of some of the things that have been going on in America just recently. One of those things being this new IVF ruling that just happened in Alabama. So I'm excited. Caleb was going to give us a little bit more background on that, but before that, I just kind of want to ask you guys, like, what do you know about IVF, how that works, if anything?
What I know, and I know very little, and I take ownership of that. I need to be more well versed in this, but what I understand is it's just like something that relates to fertility of a baby, and yeah, like a process of
Cool.
like understand. Yeah, it's a process essentially.
All right, Caleb.
So I don't know very much about it. I know that it's basically like genetically modifying, or maybe not modifying, but it's like it's sort of like taking the process of like making a child, like you're basically doing that in a more clinical environment, and it revolves like the freezing of like reproductive reproductive particles.
Cool. Okay. So I'm going to give you guys a little bit of background how IVF works. And so I'll give you a little bit of the like science behind it, and then some of the controversy that's been around it since its inception. So IVF is just short for in vitro fertilization. In vitro is a scientific term that means in glass or basically in a lab. So basically, it's just that the fertilization is happening in a lab rather than just the way it naturally would occur. So here in America, there have been about 8 million children that have been born through IVF, which is actually just a crazy stat. They started doing it, the first time it was ever done was in 1978. And since then, it's just really caught on. There are a million reasons why people could struggle with fertility and starting a family if that's something that they want to do. It's actually not really a super easy and simple process for the body. It takes a lot of variables lining up in just the right way. And so for people who have struggles with that, one of the options is IVF, where basically there are a whole bunch of steps, but mostly revolving around the mother. And so she's going to be on a regimen of all different kinds of drugs, medications that are going to help prepare her body and get it right and get the conditions right to reproduce. And then one of the things that happens is in a normal menstrual cycle, only one egg is produced at a time. Now, part of the magic of all of the medications that these doctors are able to use is that it creates multiple eggs that are ready to be fertilized all at once. So once that happens, they basically have a procedure where they go in, extract the eggs, and then they use a sperm and fertilize that egg and let it grow into an embryo. So what they'll do is they'll create a whole bunch of these embryos and then freeze them, and you can use them as you please. Now, some of the controversy that has been around this procedure since the very beginning is the fact that these embryos are being created and not all of them are used and come actually to fruition as a baby. So you use more of these, you save up more of these embryos than you're actually planning on using, and the rest, I don't really know the process, but they get discarded some type of way after a really long time. But another reason why it's controversial is because in the actual process of them taking this fertilized egg, this embryo, and putting it back inside the mother for the pregnancy to occur, is a lot of times the most difficult part of pregnancy is actually getting that embryo to implant into the lining of the uterus. And so what they'll do is they'll put multiple embryos in there to increase the chances of some of them catching, because they might not all catch. And that's actually how, you get triplets and that kind of thing, and quadruplets and that kind of thing. It is possible for triplets to occur in nature, but it's a super, super slim chance. So odds are, if you know someone who's a triplet, then they were conceived through IVF. That's basically the cliff notes on IVF. Caleb, tell me the news on it, though.
Yeah, no, thanks for taking us through that sort of medical definition. That really helps me, and I feel like I have a better understanding for why this is such a big deal. So, the Alabama Supreme Court ruled that frozen embryos can be considered children under the state's wrongful death law. So, this ruling means that embryos could have legal rights, and their destruction or damage could potentially lead to civil charges for fertility clinics or individuals and criminal charges. The ruling stems from a case where frozen embryos were destroyed in a mishap at a storage facility. The court's decision builds upon an amendment to the Alabama Constitution that grants personhood rights to unborn children. Okay. So, some of the major concerns and implications are the ruling creates major uncertainty as to the legality of IVF in Alabama. So most clinics have actually stopped like basically all practice right now until this gets figured out. There's been a huge suspension of IVF practicing, and the sort of the question of the parents' right to choose the decision raises ethical concerns about the ability of individuals, particularly women, to make decisions about their own bodies and family planning. So now that we've shared that, I think I guess, Jack, what are your initial thoughts now that we've both shared a little bit about what IVF is and the recent ruling? What
So,
are you thinking?
what's this ruling? You said I saw a little bit about it. Was this month, correct?
Yeah, this was
Okay.
I believe like a week and a half ago.
Yeah. Ben, after you just explained that, taking us through that in detail, and here, I didn't know what all went on in terms of an Alabama ruling. So thanks, Caleb. I think a lot of times when it comes to this type of conversation, it's often seen, oh, this is a woman issue, a woman problem. Therefore, a lot of times people just tune it out and don't really look into what's really happening. And I think that's what I don't know. That's kind of my first reaction. Like, okay, like what is happening? How can we? It just feels like a step backwards at the end of the
It,
day when it comes to,
it's
um,
definitely a
yeah,
step backwards. I think
yeah,
the thing that throws me about it the most is that just like fundamentally, um, it just creates so many other like loopholes of like, okay, so are we giving child tax credits to everybody that has these like embryos at one of these
Ooh,
facilities? Because you
that
just
financial side, that's
so
that's
take out a social security number on them, right?
dang.
Take out a social security number on them. And okay, so now the government has to give $3,800, year over year for each one of your embryos that has a social security number. And if you have multiples, there with the facility, I mean, like the legal implications of it are never ending. I think it's such a walk backwards. And what we're seeing is like women specifically and women's health issues have been so picked apart lately. And I'm not here to tell people how to choose on any of these topics. And I'm not really here to even come out with a hard statement one way or the other in favor or for or against. But I think it is getting to be concerning that we're not even using logic in our legal system anymore. It's like you don't look at the frame of a car
Mhm.
and sell that as a full car. It's like, okay, that's like a like a those are like nuts and bolts. You don't look at nuts and bolts and say that's a car. Like that's not how it works, And so I think it's just like it's not good. It's definitely not good for women having autonomy and families having autonomy over their ability to plan families. And so I just think it's absolutely insane.
I think
Yeah, I mean,
when
I
it oh,
kind of get some of the logic, some of the early logic, but when you really take it to the practicality, like you're mentioning, man, now that I'm thinking about it, to be able to claim a child, like all of these different repercussions that people aren't thinking about, they're gonna add up, and that can become highly problematic.
when I think about when it comes to conversation like this, I can't speak into everything, but one of the best analogy I've heard was just, for example, when during the Civil War, when the North won, the slaves are free. They're like, hey, they want to come up to the North, like, hey, yeah, we won the war and you're free, but you should go back to Africa. And basically, like, not really extending the help that they really need. And when I hear conversation like this, like, oh, help, help the babies, but when they don't hit the women, essentially, like, don't like provide the structure they need or the resources they need to help them to endure like this. I mean, Kayla, you mentioned like so many things, that obstacles to have to overcome. It's like we'll help you here, but not all the way through. And that comes with I just heard so many fear and concern that come with that, and they're also valid. And yeah,
Yeah, it's just
does that make sense what I said?
yeah, I'm following you what you're saying. I think the thing that's just concerning is it's just concerning seeing like slowly because things don't typically like happen in one fell swoop, but to see just sort of this slow sort of ticking away at little court cases, slowly
Mm-hmm.
sort of at least putting into question this fear that families would have to even plan for their own family and giving the government that sort of responsibility to define if they're able to access IVF and that kind of stuff. Like I'm in general, I'm very pro government, stay out of our business, and let people make the best decisions for themselves, for their own healthcare, for their own family planning, all of that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I think it is one of those situations where so, someone wants to sue a company and they're trying to come after everything that they possibly can. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like they spent all this money to get these embryos made, to have them frozen and stored and all this stuff. Like that is a stupid expensive process.
Yeah.
And then obviously then it failed. And so they're going to be real mad about it, which is very reasonable. But then what happens afterwards gets kind of taken to another level, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, no, agreed. I mean, and I think the biggest thing is like the next time that we, talk about a subject like this, I would really love to get, maybe a women's health professional that works in the field, their perspective on it, because I know for a fact that there's so much more to this conversation that
Totally.
I'm interested in getting educated on, even aside from just what IVF is and what this ruling means, like. We want to be in solidarity with everybody to have as much access to the appropriate healthcare for them, and so it's definitely a conversation that's worth continuing. Well, y'all, that just about does it for our show. We've got a couple of announcements for you guys. The first big announcement that we have, drum roll, please. My mic did not pick up that drum roll.
No, it did. I heard it.
Drama, we are actually going to be on Good Morning Lexington this next Friday, March 8th. So it's going to be myself and Jack. Ben's not able to be there, unfortunately, but don't worry. We're going to have some other things coming up where Ben will be there. We're going to have a launch party eventually here with some of our close friends and family. And then, of course, our executive producer, Sophie St. Furman, will be in the stew, making sure that we look good and that Kevin Hart is there to do my interview. But we are really excited for that. Tune in to Good Morning Lexington and have a good time. Let me think. One last thing. Shout outs. I'm gonna shout out a good friend of mine by the name of Andrew. Andrew, I love you so much. Thank you for being a good friend to me. Shout out Trinity. Trinity, I love you too. Ben, Jack, any shout outs? Final thoughts?
Shout out to the maintenance in my apartment for dealing with the sewage. Probably had the last couple of our dishwasher wasn't working, so it was stacking up. But he was very understanding, just like he didn't want to disturb. I work from home, so like he was just very kind. But he got he had to pull the whole thing out, go behind the wall, carve a hole to find a I mean, it's just the stuff when it comes to doing fixing stuff with the hands. That's something I'm very good at, so I have a lot of respect for that. And so, shout out to the maintenance team.
Jack, you just reminded me of some of my early homeowner nightmares. Topic for another day, but I've been through that. My shout out today is going to be to all of my classmates in the physical therapy program. First of all, just even if any of you guys take the time out of your day to listen to this, really appreciate it. Love you all. But also just because we're in a tough season right now. We've got a really, really big exam coming up that covers like all the material we've learned in our whole 2 years of school so far. And so it's getting at us.
You can do it.
Yeah, shout out those Buckeyes.
Yes.
Working for medical breakthroughs.
Shout out to all the Buckeyes.
Come on now.
Shout out all my Buckeyes out there grinding, bringing learning and knowledge and truth to the whole world. Shout out all of Buckeye Nation, but especially Ben's class. We know that a lot of y'all have been listening. Yeah, so thank you guys. Final thoughts. Everybody go give us a follow on TikTok at Generation Buried. Follow us on Instagram. Follow also our personal pages as well. We're tagged all over Generation Buried. We're going to be sharing content. We've got some contests coming up. Lots of fun things planned for the podcast. Leave us 5 stars in whatever app store that you have. Leave us a 5-star rating. It really helps us get the word out about Generation Buried. And if you want to help celebrate Black History Month, you could always support Black media and podcasts by sharing this with other people on social media. So I don't know. We'll see how many supporters we have here and how many anti-racists that we also have here. So no, I'm teasing. But, you guys have a great day. Thanks for listening to us for another episode, and we'll catch you guys next week.